Mike Owens here for LowKick MMA, and today I'm joined by Funky Ben Askren, who has recently released his new book, did the same title, Funky. Ben, great to sit down and chat. How are things at you today?
Everything's good. I was doing some work outside. It's fall here. It's probably fall by you also because you're in the northern hemisphere. So that's I love working outside. I enjoy it. So that's what I was doing.
Perfect. Well, let's talk a little bit about the book first and foremost. As I mentioned, newly released autobiography. First and foremost, is this something that you've always wanted to do, to write a book about yourself?
Uh, well, I've always been an avid reader ever since I was probably 10 years old. I really like to read. And sports biographies were my favorite topic. So yeah, I would say it's something that I kind of always hoped I'd accomplish enough to be able to do.
May I ask, do you have a favorite book at all?
Um, hmm, I have a lot of favorites. Probably over time, my favorite became sports psychology. And then recently I really like business, but I kind of like jump from like topic to topic as I get older. Um, Ali was my favorite guy to read about when I was younger.
Mm.
So middle school, high school, probably read, I don't know, 10-ish Muhammad Ali biographies.
100%, 100%. Was there a goal behind the book? And what I mean by that was there something that you were looking to accomplish writing a book about your own life?
No, I don't think there's any specific goal. It's, tell my story, tell it in a way that hopefully impactful to others. I think the biggest way, especially be for young wrestlers in America, I mean, I guess worldwide, but obviously my book will probably be read primarily by Americans. When I was younger, I wasn't very good at wrestling. It was just something I decided that I really wanted to be good at. I really enjoyed it, and I put a lot of time and effort into that. So, and obviously I parlayed that into a mixed martial arts career, but yeah, kind of go through the path of that. And hopefully, a lot of wrestlers, I think, well, this be a lot of people, I think, in general, they see someone after the fact who's had a lot of success, and they say that person was always destined for that, right? It was already written into their future that that was what was going to happen. And I don't believe that to be the case. And so, taking people back through some of my struggles, I think will help them understand my story and maybe how they can apply it to themselves.
Speaking upon that, and when we talk about perhaps some of the struggles that you had to overcome to get where you did in your both your wrestling and MMA career, what parts of your life were most difficult to write about?
I don't think anything was that particularly that hard to write about. One of the things I was kind of struck by after the fact was I didn't write a lot about my family and I didn't write a lot about the wrestling academy, which is, they're probably my two primary sources of my use of time these days. So it's kind of funny that I didn't make it into there, but then part of me says like, well, people probably aren't interested in those aspects. So I think it was kind of fitting. But I after I read through it the first time when it was fully completed, I definitely had a thought of like, man, I should probably include some more about my family and the wrestling academy's got to spend so much time and effort here, and I love these things. But I think it's good without them. So I think that's the thing. I think then like also when you're writing a book, like of every story, you could tell two or three or four more stories,
Mm.
about that incident, whatever incident it was that you're writing about.
A fighter's life is on the world stage, isn't it? It's shown and
Yes.
everyone can see it. It's so accessible. And with that being said, I think that you guys are kind of subject to a little bit of vulnerability. And with that being said, what were the key emotions that you went through when writing this book?
Um, hmm. I don't think any. I think you know what I've tried to live my life as an open book, um, and I don't think there's anything like I have no deep dark secrets, no skeletons, and none of that stuff. And so when the stuff comes in the book, maybe there'll be obviously not everyone can keep track of every detail of my life, but
Mm.
I think um so I think everyone will, maybe pick up something new or learn something. And I think I go into detail of the contract negotiations or my trade or, certain fight preparations, those type of things. But there wasn't anything that was like particularly hard to write about.
Mm. I know that you were helped along in the process by the great writer Chuck Mindenhall.
Yeah, he's
Can you
awesome.
talk to me? He is. Can you talk to me a little bit about the process of getting Chuck on board and why he was the man to help you along in this process?
He wrote the favorite article that someone's ever written about me in mixed martial arts. I have it up on the wall at my academy. You kind of like page by page, and we framed it.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So then Corona hit, and we were stuck in our house, and the business was shut down. And it's like, hey Chuck, you want to write a book? And he was kind of in the same spot, and so we we went and did it, and we kind of always just got along, and so it was easy.
I know the title is funky, and obviously that feels a bit like the obvious title given the nickname that you're synonymous with. I'd like to know, was there any other potential titles, or was funky always going to be the one?
Yeah, I mean that's another one where the titles. It's kind of like, um, yeah, what title do you pick?
Mm.
And I had no idea what it was going to be, but obviously this works. It's fitting. I like the subtitle a lot. Yeah, so I think this works really well.
100%. If we talk a little bit about fighting more generally, obviously you've been retired for a couple of years now. Do you still
Mhm.
keep up with the fight game? Do you still regularly watch the events, or have you kind of put that to one side in your life?
No, I watch a lot of fighting. I really like fighting, and I really like wrestling. So those would be the two things that I watch quite a bit of.
100%. Well, if we
Disc golf
talk
too. I do watch a decent amount of disc golf, I guess, to be fair.
100%. The only thing I would like to mention is obviously the probably one of the most shocking moments of 2022 occurred in your old division, in the welterweight division, with Usman being knocked out by Leon Edwards, only the second man from my home country to win the UFC world
Yeah.
title. I'd like to know what your immediate reaction was when you saw Leon's KO.
Well, what's funny? I've said this in a few interviews, but I left the room. I don't recall exactly what I left the room to do, but I walked away the room and Marty was laying on the floor, and I'm like, what in the hell happened? One of those things. And so yeah, and then obviously it took him like 30 seconds to do the replay or whatever, but most people thought the fight was over. Leon kind of was getting dominated in the second, third, fourth round. He's putting up a good fight, but he just wasn't quite enough. And so yeah, he pulled it out in the fifth, and I think that'll give him a lot of confidence heading into the next bout.
Do you still refer to Usman as Marty?
Oh, that's just his name to me. I guess I could just say Usman. I don't know. Like I said, that was his name. I mean, when I said this in the first place, like everyone made a thing of it.
Mm.
But when I said it, I wasn't trying to insult him in any way, shape, or form. It was just like, hey, listen, I know this dude. He's been at the Olympic Training Center. He lived there. Like his name was always Marty. Like I wasn't even. There was not me trying to be funny. It wasn't me trying to be mean. It wasn't me trying to be anything. That was just his name.
That did always seem to get under Usman's skin. Whenever you seem to say
I
it, you
know
did
it
seem to
was
get a
weird.
reaction.
It was really, and then obviously that was why I continued to antagonize him with it. But yeah, that was always puzzling to me because it was just like, man, I know you're trying to change your persona or whatever it is, but yeah, like yeah, like I said, I wasn't trying to insult or be funny or nothing. It was just like I didn't even think twice about it. It was like that's who the dude was,
Yeah.
like I was referencing this person that I knew. That was
Mm.
it.
Who do you anticipate wins in the trilogy fight between Usman and Edwards?
I think the smart pick is probably Usman. But I think Leon will have gained a lot from the last fight because he's probably never been pushed that hard from a cardio standpoint in his life, and I think it's going to help him in his confidence a lot. Knowing that he can go 5 rounds hard is going to really really help him.
Would your pick differ if it was confirmed that the fight was taking place in
Oh
England?
man, I would say Usman by decision, but um, yeah, I think there's a definite chance that Leon steps up his game again.
100%. If we change from
Mhm.
one a previous foe to another, Saturday night saw the return of a former foe in Jake Paul,
Oh yeah.
taking on Anderson Silva, getting the unanimous decision victory. I'd like to know if you had the chance to watch that fight and what your opinions were, if so.
I did not watch it. Obviously, I know what happened. He's a lot better than everyone thought he was. It's unfortunate, and I say this, it's probably most unfortunate for me because I've taken so much heat for losing to this freaking dude. Um, but just so it turns out he's actually not that bad at boxing.
Mm.
He just beat Anderson Silva, who's also a middleweight. Yeah, so get lost, everybody.
I mean this with the greatest of respect, Ben, but of the Jake Paul loss and the Masvidal loss, which
Uh-huh.
one have you taken more online heat or social
Hmm.
media backlash from?
Probably Jake Paul, I
Really?
would guess. Yeah, I mean, everyone understands Masvidal got lucky, and they might play the gif of it, but they probably don't say too much more about it. That's probably it.
Mm. Obviously, the Masvidal loss was, was fantastic on Masvidal's part. But if he doesn't switch that knee, what happens for the remaining 14 minutes and
Yeah,
15
I
seconds?
mean, I think I beat him up pretty easily. And I think, I think that's become pretty evident for most people who have been watching, how his career has progressed. He's lost 3 or 4 fights in a row now or something, and been really dominated in the wrestling category.
100%. How do you reflect on your fight with Jake Paul? You said then you've probably taken the most heat out of any of his previous opponents. How do you kind of reflect on that experience and ultimately where it took Jake Paul to in his career?
Yeah. I would just say it is what it is, like the guy said, "You want to fight?" I said yes. I was thinking he probably wasn't that good at fighting. It just so happens he's a little better than everyone thought he was. And so I'll just that's what it was. That's it.
100%. Well, I'll leave the former foe questions for now. What I'd like to get your thoughts on, Ben, as a retired athlete, former UFC fighter, is the recent news of the betting ban that's been introduced from the UFC
The
on their
what?
fight. The betting ban.
Oh, yeah, no one's asked me about that. I think it's kind of interesting.
Can you give me your thoughts on where you kind of stand on that, and if
Well,
that
I
would have
fully
affected you?
understand. I fully understand why you can't bet on yourself. I
Yeah.
totally understand that. And I could even see teammates or relations. And so maybe that's why they did everybody. But yeah, it doesn't seem, if I'm a fighter and I enjoy watching fighting and I enjoy gambling, why can't I gamble on fighters?
Mm,
Yeah. And then obviously it's been legal, right? It's been
mm,
legal forever. There's the Pete Rose who got, I don't know, you guys know about baseball, but Pete Rose got banned for baseball for betting on baseball. But it was
mm.
always funny because I think in his case, I believe he bet his team was going to win. Um,
Yeah.
which seems like okay, like if I want to bet on myself to win, like why can't I bet on myself to win? It doesn't make any sense. So, and I do enjoy gambling. I actually invested uh I invested in Verdict, an app. Are you on
Mm.
Verdict yet?
I am. Yes. Yes.
You are good. It's a great app. It's so much fun. So I guess it's not directly betting. So I wonder if maybe Verdict's not banned. I don't
Mm.
know, right? But it's a daily fantasy sports game, and it's a lot of fun. So I play that. So I've always enjoyed gambling a little bit, and obviously enjoy watching fighting. So yeah, that's kind of sad that dudes can't bet on fights.
100%. Well, for one final question, I'd like to turn the topic not only back to yourself but also back to your book. And Ben, what
Yeah.
I'd like to know is from the reader's perspective or from the author's perspective, what would you like the reader to get? What would be the biggest takeaway you would like your readers to get from your book?
Oh man, I did. I got my notes over here on my desk. So I did a speech on this there's 4 things that I really pulled out. And uh Now, obviously, I think they're going to get a lot of fun out of fun and entertainment, right?
Mm,
That's part of the reason you read books is to be entertained. I know that's the case for me. I also like to learn something, but there's a lot. Like my wife, I bust her ass because she only reads fiction, and like you can't learn nothing out of fiction. That's all
mm,
fake. So,
yeah.
but so she enjoys it for reading for enjoyment. Number one would be delusional dreams. So, I said this earlier when post facto, when an athlete has accomplished so many things, everyone always took it as predetermined that the athlete was going to do really good things. But then if you go all the way back, it wasn't the case.
Mm,
And so when I said when I was 15, I wanted to be in the Olympics, that was delusional. I was not really very good at all, even for that age group. So that'd be number one. You got to dream a little delusion. Number two, be great things take a very long time. And so like, that one, it was 8 years from the time I said, hey, I want to be on the Olympic team until I made the Olympic team. And I was faithful to that goal. I worked hard all of those 8 years. So I think sometimes kids or even adults, they choose to pursue something and they think, oh, I'll get there in a month or 2 months or 6 months, and they are completely short-sighted on how long something is going to take. I think that's a huge issue.
yeah.
So great things take a very long time. Number three would be not, and this is a huge one for me, not accepting that the current way of doing things is the only way to do things. And so for like scrambling and wrestling, which was a big part of the reason I had the amount of success, it was like I had to kind of go outside the box and figure out how to do things a little bit of a different way. And that's kind of been you know a routine for my life. So, kind of looking at other opportunities that maybe other people aren't taking advantage of. And then number four would be your results shouldn't determine how you feel about yourself. And I think there's a lot of people in life You know, I mean, obviously it was most evident for me in the Masvidal and Paul aftermath, but I was never ever really too much concerned about failure. I just put myself out there and saw what happened. And obviously, the high majority of the time, something good happened. Not every time, but most of it. And I think there's a lot of people who never start things in life because they're scared of the result, right? They're scared of what's going to happen, and they don't like that. And so they never even take a chance or to get started. So if we can go try something, try to do what you want to do, and hey, you might come up a little short, and that is okay.
Yeah. Well, if that's not an advertisement for people to buy your book, I don't know what is, Ben. So thank you for the time. And before we finish, tell people how they can find your book and where they can buy
It's
it.
on Amazon. It's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. And then I'm on Twitter. I actually like tweeting. I don't really love Instagram, but I do thoroughly enjoy Twitter.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.